For today's video, we're finally doing my third trimester pregnancy symptoms video. I can't believe that we're here already, like it feels like it's gone so fast. So currently I'm 37 weeks, I'm officially full term. That basically means that if the baby was to be born anytime before 37 weeks, they would class it as preterm, and the baby might have like some complications and stuff, but anything after 37 weeks, if the baby is to be born even before the due date, everything should be fine. Like the baby's fully grown and pretty much ready to come out now, which is just like crazy to think. I'm just sitting on my birthing ball right now, bouncing away, and I'm drinking some raspberry leaf tea as well, just hoping that this baby comes out soon. So obviously, as I've mentioned before in my previous videos, there's a lot of symptoms that do carry through the trimesters and throughout your whole pregnancy. That's things like being tired, needing to wee all the time, feeling emotional, and I would say in the last 2 trimesters, like just feeling a bit uncomfortable. Now in the 3rd trimester, I feel very uncomfortable. Like my belly is very big and just gets in the way of everything. I do feel very tired all the time, and I'm needing to wee now around like every 10 minutes. There probably is other symptoms from my previous videos that I've just like forgotten to mention, but yeah, there's a lot of symptoms that do carry through. So aside from those symptoms, some new symptoms that I've experienced in the 3rd trimester is, firstly, I've started experiencing having heart palpitations. There was one night in particular, me and Manny, we weren't doing anything strenuous or anything that would make my heart race. We were just laying on the sofa watching a film, and all of a sudden I start feeling like my heart was like skipping beats, and I felt like it wasn't beating right, and it made me feel quite panicky. I was like, something's not right, like what is this? And it kind of like took my breath away almost. We ended up going to A&E because I literally thought I was dying. They did all the tests and everything, and they just said heart palpitations are very common during pregnancy, especially in the 3rd trimester, and there's nothing you can do about it. Basically, you just got to get on with it. So that's great, that's fun. Ever since that day, I have been experiencing heart palpitations quite regularly. I've been trying to watch things like my caffeine intake and making sure that like whatever I'm doing at the time when I'm having the heart palpitations to like stop what I'm doing and take a minute and just deal with it. Another new symptom I experienced was having a blocked nose, and also like I get a little bit of bleeding when I blow my nose, and apparently that's quite common in pregnancy. A few physical things I've noticed is I'm a lot more like hairy now. The hair on my arms has like grown a lot thicker and longer. My leg hair grows really fast these days. I have hair like all on my belly now. Even the hair like on my head, it has got a lot longer and a lot thicker. And I'm not sure, but I am having a boy, so maybe it's like a chemical thing because I've obviously got like more testosterone in my body right now. Maybe that's why I'm growing more hair. I don't know, who knows? Also, something I noticed in the beginning of the 3rd trimester was the shape of my belly when I tense. I think I first noticed it when I was laying in bed and I tensed to like get myself up. And I noticed my belly went into like a dome shape. That is basically just where the muscles have separated. So normally your core muscles are all together like this, but when you grow a baby, to make room for the baby, your muscles separate outwards like this. So right now, obviously my belly's quite big and he's nearly here, so my muscles are probably around here somewhere now. So you can imagine when I tense my muscles, they're tensing here and my whole belly just goes like that. And yeah, it does look pretty strange. I think I spoke about stretch marks in the previous video. Back then I think I only had stretch marks on my boobs and maybe some on my hips, whereas now I finally started to get stretch marks on my actual belly. I also have some on my thighs too, and also like here on my arms. My belly just looks like a crime scene at the minute. Like, looks like I'm growing a demon and he's like trying to claw his way out. Like, yeah, I have so many stretch marks on my belly. So not only is my belly getting bigger, but obviously my boobs as well. And I think in general, I am just putting on more weight. My body's not coping well with all these changes. I developed a rash called pup rash, which is very common in pregnancy. And it is basically caused by the stretching of skin. So a lot of women get pup rash around the areas where they have stretch marks, which is where I got mine. And it basically just looks like little red patches, and yeah, just in the areas where you'd have your stretch marks. And they were very itchy and sore, so that wasn't fun. But thankfully that has actually gone now. But instead, even though I don't have the rash anymore, I'm still very itchy in those places, like where I have my stretch marks on my boobs and my belly. I just think obviously where the skin's being stretched so much, it's dry and delicate. So I try and moisturise and put on like some lotions and stuff to try and help, but there's not really much you can do, unfortunately. So another new symptom I started experiencing is the famous Braxton hicks. Braxton hicks is normally known as false labour, and it's basically just your body practicing for the real thing. So yeah, our like muscles contract, and some women actually get a lot of pain with it, which can lead them to think that they're actually going into labour. For me personally, maybe I'm just lucky, when I get my Braxton hicks, I wouldn't say it hurts, I would just say it feels uncomfortable. My belly goes rock solid, and it basically just feels like this. It just feels so tense, like I've got a million knots in my belly. I get very mild period cramps with that. I spoke about food aversions in the first trimester pregnancy video, and then in the second trimester my food aversions had gone away and it had turned to cravings, whereas now in the third trimester I would say my food aversions have come back. I'm very picky with what I eat these days. Again, I said throughout all my videos that I've struggled to eat curry. Like obviously my partner's Sri Lankan, and we used to eat a lot of Sri Lankan food before I was pregnant, and yeah, I still am not able to eat curries or anything too hard on the stomach, I guess. If it has like a lot of spices, like I just can't really handle that at the minute. So I have to eat very plain foods like English comfort foods, potatoes, bread, fruits and vegetables. Things that are just easy to digest, I guess. Even though my food aversions have come back, I still do have quite a good appetite, so I am still eating at a good rate. Another thing is my balance. I'm very like clumsy, disorientated these days. Again, obviously I've got a very big belly in the way of everything, and I think sometimes I forget that it's there. I find myself keep knocking my belly on things like the corner of tables or like door handles and stuff. Sometimes it doesn't register in your mind like just how big it is. You think, oh, I can make that gap, and then you just can't. Having all this weight on the front, and I'm having to constantly lean back, which kind of just puts me all out of like balance anyway. But also leaning back all the time as well, I've started to get quite bad lower back pain. Just standard really, like end of pregnancy, these things happen. Another thing is feeling hot all the time. In the UK at the minute where I live, we've gone through I think 2 heat waves so far, and it's been like the hottest that the UK's ever been. Like I think one day it went up to like 40 degrees. That is just ridiculous weather for us here. I feel hot in general anyway, even when it's like not hot. So imagine when it was like 40 degrees, I was literally dying. Lastly, I've been experiencing a lot of pressure in my pelvis. Obviously the baby is moving down and he's getting into position for birth. It's only natural that I'm starting to feel a lot of pressure in my pelvis now. I can literally feel him there, like he's ready to come. So I actually wanted to talk about loneliness and depression in pregnancy. I don't know if I would class it as a symptom, but it's definitely been something that's been prevalent throughout my whole pregnancy, and I don't think it's talked about enough. Loneliness and depression is very, very common in pregnancy. You're going through so many different changes, and it's very hard for people to try and understand. As much as people might try and understand as much as possible, I don't think anyone can fully understand what it's like to be pregnant unless they've done it themselves. But even the people that have done it themselves, every woman's pregnancy is different, so sometimes even they might not be able to relate. And that can be quite hard because when you're pregnant, it is very much your pregnancy and you're the only one who's actually going through it. And that can feel very isolating and yeah, just very lonely. I appreciate that people have lives, and obviously they can't be messaging me every second of every day or calling me up all the time. But for some reason, when I got pregnant, I was expecting a lot of my close friends and family would maybe be calling me or checking up on me every now and then. And I guess maybe I haven't had as much of that as I thought I was gonna get. But like I said, everyone has their own lives, and you know, I think it's very easy to like get wrapped up in your own life and kind of forget, I guess. But you know, 9 months is a very long time. When you think that like there's 12 months in a year and 9 months is just under that, so like you're nearly pregnant for a year actually. And yeah, to go through 9 months of pregnancy, it is a lot, and it's a time where you need the most support. So when you don't get that support, it can feel 10 times worse. I know some women that even though they have all the support in the world, they still feel lonely. Like being sat in a room full of people and you still feel lonely, like that just must be the most horrible thing to go through. But yeah, you know, hormones raging and so many things going on. I mean, I think it would be hard for anyone to stay sane. So moving on from that heavy matter, I'll talk briefly about the appointments as I've done in the last few videos. So in the 3rd trimester, you see your midwife a lot more than you have ever done throughout your whole pregnancy. I'm not sure exactly when it starts. I think at least from 30 weeks onwards, you'll start to see your midwife around every 2 weeks, and they basically are just checking your blood pressure, they take your bloods, check your urine and stuff, just make sure that everything's okay. They start doing this thing where they measure your belly with a tape measure. They measure from the top where they feel the baby, and then they measure all the way down to your pelvis bone. That's to get an idea of like how the baby's growing. Sometimes, due to the fact that different midwives do that each time you go, there can be a bit of variation. So if it looks like the baby's grown really big or hasn't grown big enough, they'll send you for an emergency scan just to double check. So I've had 2 emergency scans so far. Both times he's been completely fine. He's currently 6 pounds. Just to note here, like the average baby at birth is around 6 to 7 pounds. So yeah, I'm like, please come out now. Please don't get any bigger. Like, help me out, please. Just come out now. And they also said that his head is now in my pelvis. So he's very low down. So I think that's a good sign that he's on his way soon. But yeah, like, so I didn't think I was going to have any more scans after the 20-week scan. That's it really, like, unless there's any complications, you don't see your baby again. So even though the emergency scans can be a little bit like a bit stressful, like as long as everything's fine, like it's just an added bonus, you get to see your baby a few more times before the birth. So yeah, it's all getting very exciting. It's getting very close to the time now, and probably the next time I make a video, my baby will be here. So I just can't wait for that. Can't wait to meet him. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, comment below your thoughts. If you don't know me, I upload on Fridays, so if you want to see my face on your screen every Friday, then hit that subscribe button, and I will see you very soon.